Hi everyone! Today I'm gonna show you how to create an offset design, and we are gonna be using Design Space for those who don't have a chance to get an additional program. And also we are gonna create an offset design using Inkscape, which is the program that I have open right now. And this is kind of the result once we get the design created, but I'm gonna show you how to create it from scratch. Inkscape gives you the opportunity to create it easier, but I want to show you how to do this in Inkscape, so in Design Space, so you have the chance to create it there if you cannot use Inkscape. So this is the design with all the layers, and once you have the design ready, this is how it's gonna look once you put all the layers together. So for this particular design, what I did is I created an inset effect using Inkscape, which means that the layers are showing up from the inside part. Let me show you another picture here, so you can kind of see how the layers look like. So I will show you how to create this at the end. Obviously, if you want to create offset designs like this one that has also the leaves, then you need to know a little bit about Inkscape in order to get to kind of draw and design all those images that go along with the name or anything that you want to create. But if you just want to create the name, an offset design for the name, so you don't need to know much about Inkscape other than how to use kind of like the text option or the offset option by itself, because that one is pretty easy to make. So let's go to Design Space first, and let's see how to create a design like this one. Okay, so I have my canvas ready to start creating a design, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna type a name. So I'm gonna create one with the name Rose, and something that I recommend to when you are creating these names, ideally you should select those writing fonts, because that way the letters are connected and the layers will be connected as well. So I'm gonna look for one. I'm gonna make it bigger so you can see how this is gonna work. Okay, so usually when you add text in Design Space, even if you're using a writing type of font, you still have the letters separated. So you have to go to the letter space and reduce the space in between so you can get the letters close like this. And then once we have that part, all we need to do here is hit well. Okay, so now that I use the option weld, I have this all in one image. So the next thing that I need to do is I'm just gonna create a copy and have it without touching it, because that one is gonna be my first layer if I want to. Like this image, for example, that the one that is at the top is the very first one that I created when I started creating this design. So now with this one that I have here, the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to contour and I'm gonna click hide all contours, just to kind of start closing those sections that I'm able to kind of start creating my offset image. So now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna again create another copy with Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and I'm gonna change the color so that will give me a reference of what I'm doing. And then what I need to do here now is I need to kind of start creating copies a little bit this way to kind of start creating that shadow effect. So, and then I'm just gonna click Ctrl V again. Oh, it took the black one, so let's click on the purple one, and then Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and then I'm just gonna move it a little bit this way. And then I'm gonna hit Ctrl V again, and I'm gonna start doing it all around so I can start having that shadow. And then I'm gonna hit Ctrl V once again, because now I need to kind of fill these areas where you can see the black color to kind of start making the shadow all around. And I'm gonna hit Ctrl V once again, and then I'm bringing it back here, maybe a little bit down, and Ctrl V once again, and I'm gonna come this way, then Ctrl V once again, and I'm coming a little bit up now, and Ctrl V one more time, just to kind of fill or complete this area with the R. Okay, so I have that pretty much, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come here to the layers section, and I'm gonna click on the one rose that I created, and I'm just gonna hide it because I don't want that one to be touched. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna select all these copies that I made, and I'm gonna click well, and this is what I have so far. So now if I bring my name that says Rose, I'm gonna bring it to front, and then here is what I have. And you can see that pretty much I didn't do too bad, because it's kind of centering the name Rose all around, except for these small areas right here that may need a little bit of extra work, and this one right here. So what I can do now is I can go back to the one that I hide and then bring it all the way to front. I'm just gonna move it right here, and then I have my shadow here, and I'm gonna click now on Rose, and I'm just gonna make a copy again, Ctrl C and then Ctrl V. And what I need to do here is just to kind of cover these areas. My only fear is that once I do this, the other sections may not look good anymore. So let's just double check here once again. and I'm just gonna select both and align both of them horizontally and vertically. So that's how it's looking right now. So since it's looking pretty good already and I don't want to mess these areas right here, so what I can do is just kind of create a small circle just to create this area very nice. Same with this part and same with this part. But because I'm not sure if that's the result that I want, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make a copy of this one, and this is the one that I'm gonna use as example. So let's create a circle, and then I'm just gonna make it small like this, and then I can do Ctrl C, Ctrl V for the one below, and here I may need to do something else. Let's see. But we will see once I have it done. And then I'm just gonna make another Ctrl V just to close this one. Here it seems that I need it a little bit smaller. Okay, and now I'm gonna select everything here and I'm gonna click well. So now if you see, this one looks very nice. Here I may need to do a little bit in this area maybe, and this one looks decent. I will say. So let's just create another circle to close the R, and then we will see what happens. So I have this one, I'm gonna make it smaller, and you can see this just a small area that I need to kind of fill right here. I think that will be enough. So now I'm gonna select both and I'm gonna hit well. And then you can see here, so if I bring my row's name here, I'm gonna send it to front. And now I have my offset here. And if I center this one, I can see that looks pretty good. So that will be the second layer if we consider the black one as the first layer, which I always recommend that because usually the first layer is the one that has all those details when you're creating the names. So now that we have the first one, we can create a second one. I'm just gonna remove this one. I don't need it anymore, and I don't need this one anymore either. I still gonna keep the one that is gonna be my first layer, and I'm gonna keep this one in case I need it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a copy of this one that is good to go right now, and I'm gonna start following the same process as I did to create this one, but now it's gonna be, it has to be bigger than this one because it's gonna be the second layer. So if we notice, I'm just gonna change the color here so we can see the difference. I'm gonna make it red. So usually we think, oh, if I make it bigger, that will help. Sometimes that could help, but sometimes it doesn't. If I send this to the back, so you can see that it's not even at all. So one of the things that we could do here is just try to fill out these areas, and then we will be able to have an even shadow under this one. But let's try to follow the same steps that I did, that I followed a few minutes ago, and see, and let's see what happens. So I'm gonna do a Ctrl C and Ctrl V. I'm gonna keep this red one just to try to do it that way later. So I'm gonna change this one to color. I'm gonna do a darker purple. And so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna start putting it on top, same as I did with the one that I have under this one, and I'm gonna start doing Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and I'm gonna start moving it around. Just like this, Ctrl V again, and then I'm gonna start moving these areas just like this. and my goal is gonna be to cover these areas that are under these layers, or these layers that I'm making, and also in this area right here. So I'm gonna bring this one a little bit more to cover this part right here, and I can see that these sections are already covered, so now I can start moving towards this area. So I'm bringing this one, and then I'm gonna do another Control V here, this one right here, and this one is already covering this, but it needs to be a little bit lower, so I'm bringing it a little bit low here. And once again, I'm doing this like this, another Control V once again, and I think that will be enough. So now I have to go back again to the layers section, and I'm gonna hide the first one, the light purple, and I'm gonna hide it. And now I'm just gonna select this group, and I'm gonna hit well. So this is what I have now. So now I'm gonna unhide the first one, and I'm gonna take this one to the back and see how this is looking. I think it looks pretty good. So now I can just center these two to kind of see exactly how it's gonna look once I make it, and that's the result that I have. And now the only thing, I can bring this one back here, and I have my name with the layers. And then, so if you don't want to have this second layer like this, then you just have to keep this first one, removing this one, unhiding that one, so you can create that little gap here. And then right here I can again add the circles if I want to, or I can leave it as it is. But you can see that this is an easy way to create the layers using Design Space. And I didn't have to use this one, but you can try making this one a little bit bigger, and then you probably will have to add less layers. And we can do it right now if you want. So I'm gonna move the purple one just to show you how that will be. So this is, so I will have to position this one first, this space that is gonna have in between, and then I have to start creating the other layer. So I'm gonna do Control C and Control V, and I'm gonna start doing this. So if we need to cover that purple section that we are seeing right now, so I definitely have to kind of move back and forth here until I get that result. That this may not be the best choice, and you will see in a minute why. So it seems like below I have it covered, so let's just leave those for now, and I'm gonna hide again my first layer. So now I'm gonna select this area, and I'm gonna hit well, and I'm gonna unhide my first layer. So I'm just gonna send this one to back again, and as you can see, this doesn't work as much as we would like to, because we are kind of extending this size when we make it bigger. The one thing that we could do, if you see the R is looking pretty good, so what we can do is just unlock the image, the red one, and then make this one a little bit smaller. And then you just kind of need to fill this space So what I can do is I can go to contour and then fill this one or hide it, and I'm gonna hide this one little one too. And it's looking much better, but I still have some work to do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna Control C this one that I already made smaller, and let's see where I need to go. So it seems like I need to go right here to hide the E, but let's move it a little bit to see how much do I need to move it. And let's check the bottom. So it needs to be a little bit high and kind of this way. And then I'm gonna go back to the layers and hide the one that I created. And now I'm gonna select these two and hit well. So now let's check the results with our previous layer. So I'm gonna send this to back. And I think this looks much better, but I still need work to do. So I'm gonna unlock my image and make it a little bit smaller. And now it's looking a little bit better, but I still have some work to do. Maybe if I can do it this way, I think that looks better. It's not perfect, as you can see. Let's move this one a little bit, just like this maybe. Yeah. And now I'm just gonna do a Control C and Control V, and I have my design. So I'm just gonna center all of this, and this is the one making the second layer big, as I did with this one. And I'm just gonna make a copy of this one, Control C, Control V, for my first layer, the one that I created at the beginning. Send to front. Oops, no, send to front. That's what I was trying to do. And this one goes to the back. And I'm gonna center this also. So you can see those are the two ways that you can create offset images or names using Design Space. So now let's try to do the same using Inkscape. Let me just check what type of font I use here, because I don't remember. I think was let me check here. Image info. Oh, it's affectionately yours. Okay. So now let's go to Inkscape. So now I have Inkscape open. A couple of things to mention about this is that Inkscape is completely free, so you can definitely download it and install it in your computer. You just have to check the settings and see what type of windows do you have. I will leave the link to Inkscape under the description below, and you just basically need to check the settings for your computer, or what windows do you have, and then based on that select the file that you need to download in order to install Inkscape. If you need help with this, please let me know. Leave a comment, and I will be happy to kind of create an additional video for that part specifically. Okay, so once you are in Inkscape, we again have the text tool here, and I'm just gonna type the same name so we can see the difference between one and the other. And I'm gonna look for the same font that I used in Inkscape, if I can find it. Let's see. Okay, it took one that I didn't choose. Okay, let's go back here. It's hard to see this toolbar to move around. Let's see, fictional is yours. Okay, here we have. So, and here is. So now I'm just gonna lock this this little icon here is to lock my my name for this this occasion, and that way I can make it bigger and it's gonna stay the same. So if you notice here, I have the name with the letters all together, but they are not together completely. So what we need to do here is we need to go to object, no, path, sorry, and then select the option union, because that's gonna actually, sorry, we had to go to path, object, and then ungroup. So now all my letters are separate, but besides that I had to go to path and then select the option union to create one image or one full name in order to create the offset. So then we have in Inkscape you need to have the image or the name for this case selected, and then you have to go to object, to path, sorry, and then here we have these two options, and we have this one that says link offset, outset, and inset. So for these designs that I created here, I use the option inset, that is right here, but we can also use link offset. So I'm gonna select this one just to show you what happened. So once we select that, we have to use this icon. We give a click there, and then the next thing that we need to kind of adjust is the grow or shrink by that is gonna have. And the best way to do it is if we select the numbers by points. So right now it says that the grow or shrink by is 20 points. And then the only thing that I need to do here is click on anywhere on inside of the name, and then if you notice something happened, it seemed like the letters grew a little bit. And after that, what we need to do is we need to go to this icon, the one that is called select and transform objects, and then it's gonna show this name as selected. But the next thing that we need to do is change the color so we can see the difference, and now that is a different layer. So I'm gonna select, let's see which one I got on Design Space. So it's this one, light purple. So let's select that one. So I have this one, it's not the same but kind of. So I'm gonna select that one. And now once I do that, we have to go to this one that is going to take this layer at the end. So once I do that, so now we can see that now I have my offset created. And if you see the kind of like thickness in between is not too big, so what we can do is we can do Ctrl Z to go back to the first one, and then I'm gonna go again to the little thing, the icon here, and I can increase the thickness. So I'm gonna, let's do 40 and see what happens. And now I'm gonna click here, and now you can see that it made it bigger, and you will see how. So I'm gonna go to this icon, and now we can see that is thicker. And if we notice there are little points here that are kind of open, so what we can do is bring this layer back to the front and then select this icon that is called Edit Paths by Nodes, and then we just need to kind of select those points and delete. So I'm selecting these little ones and then I'm gonna click on delete. I'm gonna leave this one because it's part of the O, and also I'm gonna leave this one because I like it like that. And now I can go and send it to the back. Lower selection to bottom. So now I need a second layer, so I'm gonna click here again, and now I'm gonna click on the purple one, not the black one, and it made it bigger. But to see the change, so I'm gonna go to this icon again to select and transform objects, and I'm gonna change the color. If we go back to Design Space, I did it like dark purple, but I didn't have the color here, exact color, so I'm just gonna select this one. It's not dark purple, I kind of done it backwards here, but you will see the difference. And so one thing that I need to do here is, because I have kind of these gaps, before I send this one to the back or to the lowers or to the end, I'm gonna click on Edit Paths by Nodes, and what I'm gonna do is I can either bring this way if I want to, or I can simply delete them, and then I will have a full area close. And I'm gonna do the same with the O. And this is definitely up to you, but usually the first layer that we have needs to be like this, fully covered. And I'm gonna do the same with this one also. Okay, so now I go back to the selection tool or option, and then I can send it. I can click on this one to send it to the end, and here we have. So if you see, there is a couple things to do here, but the layers are more even, or are actually even compared to the other ones. And so we can continue creating more layers here. So if I want another one, I can just click here again and then click on the pink one, or fuchsia, I don't know what color. Yeah, let's call it pink. So I can click here, and then it's making another one even bigger. So, and then I can select, I'm just gonna select red color, and before I send it to the end, I'm gonna click again to Edit Paths, and I'm gonna just remove those gaps. And you can see that as soon as I select that area, it's selecting all those little dots that you see. Then I click delete, and if I still see some of them, I just need to go back there and click delete again, and select them until I don't see them anymore, just like this. And now I go back to the selection icon and I send it to the back, and now I have my layer number 4, right? Yes, it's the number 4 because I still considering the black one. Okay, let's say I don't want to follow this step of having to kind of fill the spaces. So what we can do in that case, so I'm just gonna create a last layer here. I'm gonna click on the red one now, and I'm gonna select color blue, and then I'm gonna go to the selection tool, and I'm not gonna touch it, I'm just gonna send it to the back. And I still have visual, if I see it from this view, I can see that the blue is actually all around the other layers, but I will show you in Design Space to see, so you can see how it looks like that. So I'm gonna save this one, and I'm just gonna save it here. So I'm gonna save it as rows and click on save. And this is an offset. If you want an inset, it will be the same, but instead clicking on these areas right here, you will start doing it from the inside, so you get the layers going in instead going out, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to Design Space so we can see the difference. So I have oops, let's just group this one so I can move it together, and let's group this one as well. So I'm gonna go to upload image, browse, then I have to go to the place where I create where I save it, and here is my offset name. I click in select, and then I'm gonna click here on the image, and I'm gonna click insert. And now we can see the difference between this one, and this one. So you can see that all around is exactly like the name that you created, and that's why Inkscape is a little bit better compared to doing this in Design Space, because you have that option offset, and that makes the layers exactly the same as the first one. The only thing you do is you click on inside of the name, and then Inkscape do the rest for you. So now coming back with this one, if you remember a few seconds ago, so what I did is I didn't fill the section for the blue layer, which is the last one. And if we come back here to the layers section, you can see that the blue one, it doesn't have the fill to be completely blue. So what we can do in those cases, I'm just gonna ungroup it just to show you the blue layer, but we don't need actually to ungroup it. So this is what we have. So if we don't go to the steps of having to go to edit paths and then delete those points that are kind of creating the space open, so then we are gonna have something like this one. But don't worry, you don't have to go back and do it again. So what you can do in this case, you just go to contour, hide all contours, and then you close it, and here you go. Now you have that layer in the way that you want it. So let me just go undo this, and I can show you how to do it without having to ungroup it. So let's see, I have to do this one more time. So then here, when you have this image group, so if you can just double check here on the layers, and then if you see the blue one that is looking like this, so you don't have to ungroup it, you can just select this layer, go to contour, and then hide all contours, and then you will see later that the blue one is already done. So you don't need to ungroup it unless you want to do other things. Another thing that you can see here is that create and name rows in black twice. It is because we selected the option offset first, and then what Inkscape does is kind of create a first layer of the very first one that you have. So it's a good idea once you upload your image to Design Space to kind of double check that this doesn't happen. And another way to do it will be just do it from Inkscape. So you can kind of move this, and then you will notice that there are two instead one, and they are exactly the same. So what it does is that, so if I have this name and then I click here, and then I go to my selection tool, and then if I select path and then link it offset, I think that's when it create is, let me see, yeah. So even without me clicking on this one, once I click on linked offset, it creates that kind of like a copy of the first layer. So you may need to remove that one before you save everything, before you go to Design Space. But if you forget by any chance, you can still remove it from here, and you don't have to ungroup it. You can just go here, select the layer, and then click delete, and then you have your layers here. So if you see, you can have the same, you can create offset or shadows in both Design Space and Inkscape, but it's a little bit easier on Inkscape, and also the layers are very well done. So I hope this video helps you to kind of know how to do it either way, and please leave your comments or questions if you have, and I will be happy to help you with that. So thank you for watching, thank you very much, and I will see you on my next video. Have a good one.